So Kamala Harris's popularity seemed to get a pretty weird boost back in, you know, August, basically, sometime in the early summer. Which is kind of odd because typically, when somebody runs for president, they get a popularity decline. Yeah. Oh, well, let's see. Let's read this article here. This is 19thnews.org. We got to read articles from the smaller guys sometimes, see what they have to say. How Kamala Harris got more popular. The fact that Americans view Harris more favorably than before she became the candidate sheds light on how they see vice presidents, women of positions of power, and the country right now. On June 27, the day the first and only presidential debate between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump, only 37% of Americans said they had a favorable opinion of Vice President Kamala Harris. More than half, 54%, held an unfavorable opinion. By August 5th, Harris had officially become the nominee, and her favorability rate had jumped to 43%. As of October 26th, it was at 46%, meaning Harris had done something virtually unprecedented. She had become more likable since becoming a major party's nominee. Generally, Americans think less favorably of people who are running for president. This has been true, too, of the only other women to be a major party's nominee. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's unfavorability rating reached a record high in the final stretch of her campaign for the presidency. So it's remarkable that any presidential campaign has seen their favorability continually improve since becoming a major party's nominee. It is even more remarkable that the candidate is not only a woman, but a woman of color. It remains to be seen whether Harris will be able to clinch a victory in what appears to be a dead heat race between her and Trump, who is currently underwater with Americans. 43% view him favorably and 52% unfavorably. But the change in Americans' perceptions of Harris sheds light on how they see vice presidents, women of positions of power in the country right now. Okay, so that's odd. I'm going to stop there for a second. That's kind of odd. For one, she was wildly unpopular. Like these polls are hard to believe, these polls anyway, because I've never received a polling call ever, even in Canada, right? I don't know of anybody in the States, people I know who ever get polling calls. So I don't know who they're polling, but anyways, so whether you trust this or not, but it was a pretty big consensus, I would say, that Kamala was a bust as a vice president. She wasn't even favorable when she was running for president. Like she didn't even make it past the primaries at all. Like she one of the first out, basically. So I don't know how she gets popularity. This just kind of shows to me, anyway, that it doesn't matter. You could put a fucking stick figure. You could literally put a cardboard cutout of Zac Efron in there or something, and you're just going to get a certain amount of people are going to vote no matter what. It could just be a recording. They're just gonna vote that way anyway. There's all the never Trumpers. There's all the whatever, right? It doesn't even matter if it's Trump or not. It's just like there's a certain amount of people that are gonna vote no matter what for a garbage candidate. So I don't know what that says about the population as a whole, but it's in this case it just seems to be it's under the microscope at this point because she was so bad as a VP. So I'm going to show this real quick. This is Statista. That's a site I found for statistics. Shows the favorability of Kamala Harris in the United States as of October 2024. So there's three different lines here. You'll see one is from June 17th, the next is from August 17th, and the final one's from October 1st. So the top line, the light gray, that's October 1st. You can see her very favorable. She's very favorable at 30% in October. In June, it's 16%. So she has a 14% jump in favorable. Somewhat favorable, she actually gets a drop. So some of those ones that went to very favorable came from somewhat favorable, obviously, right? Because you got a 5% drop, but a net overall 9% gain. Somewhat unfavorable, about the same. It's 10 and 11. So it's right around the same. Very unfavorable. So it goes in June, from 44% down to 38% in October. And then people that don't know, it kind of stays the same between 7 and 5%. So you get this pretty consistent jump of where people are have gone from unfavorable to favorable, or very favorable even. But oddly enough, why? Like there's no reason why. There's nothing that she's done that you could say, oh, okay, well, I'm now favorable. It's different if somebody comes in and you don't really know them and they don't really have a track record, but she has a track record as vice president. So these numbers are weird for that. You could argue that if it's somebody who comes in low because they didn't have any, didn't really have any notability or anything like that. Nobody really knew who they were. Someone like a Vivek Ramaswamy, right? His numbers kept going up because people were starting to know and they're starting to get his message was coming through. But in this case, she hasn't really said or done very much for this to change. So I don't know what that means. Like I said, I suspect it just means that it doesn't matter who you put in there, especially in this election cycle, because you have so many never Trumpers that they're going to vote for. You could put a dog in there. It'd be Trump's running against a golden retriever, and the golden retriever would still get like 48% of the popular vote, or maybe more. It depends on how good they can cheat with the with the golden retriever, I guess. I don't know. So from unpopular to popular seems a little sketchy to me. Let me know what you think in the comments.